Yeah, so I've always been extremely interested in spirituality and mysticism. That unseen world has always been fascinating to me since I've been a child. My mom was an ex-nun. She left the convent, married my dad, but she was also like a very spiritual, deep thinker. She was a mystical poet. And so she kind of was like my guide or like my Sherpa through this world. So I've been thinking about all these ideas and topics as long as I can remember. And then I went to college, I majored in religious studies, and then I went on to study spiritual psychology. It just kind of became like who I am. But the real game changer was actually when I lost my mom. I fell into like a really deep depression, nothing like I had ever experienced. I've always been a really happy person. And I didn't know how I could go on. I mean, I fell to my knees, literally. And someone suggested that I learn transcendental meditation. I had never heard of it. I didn't really know that much about Eastern philosophy. I had been focusing more on like Christian philosophy, I guess. And even though I studied world religions, I don't know, I just wasn't that deep into it that I was thinking about meditating. And I went and I learned how to meditate. And in one meditation, I went from being suicidal to like a state of ecstasy. And then my whole world changed.
I'm Matt Landau, and this is Unlocked, The Intermission, a limited series of interviews with people close to me who changed the way I think about business, hospitality, and life. This is my friend and colleague Valerie Gangas of Juniper Holiday and Home, which is a short-term rental management company that also develops their own purpose-built vacation homes. I met Valerie for the first time at our Keystone Retreat, which was 1 week after I returned from the most transformative trip of my life to Israel, which I'll talk about later in this series. Valerie found herself in new and extraordinarily difficult conditions the moment her mom died. And what happens next, she describes as a miracle. Valerie's since gone on to write books about this process, Enlightenment is Sexy, and In Deep Shift. So she knows how to describe the feeling of navigating the unknown in relationships, in business, and in life. This episode is brought to you by Breezeway, a property care and operations platform, and B&B Finder, the property listing marketplace built for professional property managers. B&B without the fees.
There was no working or anything. I was working with my father before then. We had restaurants and he had sold all the stores because, he got an opportunity and she was really sick and he was like ready to retire. So I had no job. I got rid of my car. I was planning on giving my dog to my aunt and uncle, like not telling them why. I was going to tell them that they'd ask them to babysit and then never pick her up again, which if you know me, like I love animals so much and my dog was like my child, but I was literally planning on ending my life. So I didn't need a car. I didn't need a job. I didn't need to have any animals. There was no working. I could like barely leave my house. Like I hit rock bottom. I was going to therapy like 3 times a week just to stay out of a hospital. And like anyone that knows me would be like, how is that possible? But it hit me like a hurricane and it took me down. Now that I know so much more and I've had years to reflect on this, I've also lost my brother. I lost since she died, I think I've lost 9 family members total. So I have been able to handle those deaths with grace and like a deep understanding of what's happening, kind of the mechanics behind death. But when she died, I was not equipped or had no knowledge of how to deal with what was happening. And I always say, like, for me, it was my mom's death, but maybe for someone else, they're like super attached to money. So they lose all of their money, or like they're super attached to the relationship and they get divorced. Like something in all of our lives, it's going to be the big kahuna is going to take you down. And that's when the deep shift occurs because your whole reality everything that you thought you knew and what you're attached to, like that's gone. Like you're going to start all over because it's that deep attachment to something that needs to be broken in order for you to have a new set of eyes. Nothing else is going to do it. It won't be painful enough.
The Big Kahuna is an interesting way to think about this. I've been fortunate in my life that I haven't had to deal with many big kahunas. And I wonder if that's why I haven't had any deep shifts, that I was aware of at least. But in the other conversations in this limited series, you'll hear that the Big Kahuna can look like a lot of different things. And Valerie talks about how most people simply aren't prepared for them. One of the reasons she began chronicling her story.
Yeah. I wrote Enlightenment is Sexy. That was the first book. And that was kind of like my experience learning to meditate and like kind of like entering this magical world where it's a new way of thinking, a new way of being. But then I really started like studying the process of awakening and studying the process of spiritual emergencies and these different things that happen to people that not everybody talks about. And I wanted to kind of like lay out a plan for people so they don't feel so alone and overwhelmed, because this isn't like part of our common conversation. People aren't talking about this. They don't even know what's happening to them. And maybe they go on medication or they turn to people that don't know what they're talking about and lead them in the wrong direction. It's a little bit complicated because it's not as common. I mean, I believe in my particular case, like I received a miracle. Like I didn't see this coming. I wrote about it in the book. Like there was a day that I truly had given up. Like I completely surrendered. I could not handle my life anymore. And I was in the shower and I was on my hands and knees begging God either to save me or, help me live or help me die. Like that's it. There's no other options now. This is where we're at. And I can remember watching the water like go down the drain. And I felt like that was like my life, just like watching it just go down the drain. I didn't have control. And then it was 2 weeks later, I learned how to meditate. So in my specific case, like I didn't even have the ability to think it through because I was like gone. And then this thing, it just happened to me. It fell into my lap and then everything changed. For most people, well, everyone's different, right? We all have a different path. So some people can think their way through this, but really, I think it's like you got to go so deep that you surrender to something bigger than yourself and then wait for the miracle or wait for the opportunity and then say yes.
And looking for the miracle is almost like the big change, because then suddenly even the tiniest of things could be a miracle.
And you probably just literally could not see them before. I think when you have a shift in consciousness, like your ability to see things that weren't even there. I mean, they were there. Everything is always there at all times, but like you have to widen the lens. And I think that can only come from an expansion of consciousness. And then you literally expand your lens. So I never remember noticing, like, before I learned to meditate, how incredible trees were. Like, I liked them, but like, I would look at a tree and feel like that was the heartbeat of everything that existed in the world. Like, that's a deeper level of consciousness. And the tree was always there. I just didn't care because I couldn't see it. And that's how it is with opportunities and people you're going to meet. It could be standing right in front of you, but if you don't have a higher awareness, then you don't see it anyway. So it never exists.
And you're suggesting that you had this sort of awakening within like one day or a short period of time?
20 minutes, the lights came on and I never was the same again.
After Valerie's mom died, she went through this kind of magical period, and she attributes it to her practice with transcendental meditation. And here's when I'll tell you that what Valerie's about to share may sound a little bit out there for some of you. But, as you'll hear later in this series, I started transcendental meditation as a result, and I have begun to experience this exact same thing.
Now it has stabilized. For like 2 years, I was like, I'm just going to sit on a park bench and like stare at squirrels all day because I was so like in the magic. It was so different. It was black and white, like that old Val, new Val. Like here I am. And I was feeling like I could make things happen with my mind. Like it was almost like it was like supernatural in a way, but it was so natural. And then I knew like we have these levels of consciousness that it's not permanent. It's a flow. You're going up and down. But like once you have experiences like that, then like that never really leaves you. The trick is to never chase that again, to just accept wherever you are in your level of consciousness and kind of like ride that out. Just me sitting there with my eyes closed. You know, I just learned how to meditate. TM is a mantra based meditation. So, like, I didn't even know what that was when I walked in the room. She gave me my mantra. She showed me how to use it. I closed my eyes. I said the sound in my mind and I dove into like a vast ocean inside of my body. And my whole world opened up. I didn't even know that was inside of us. Like, everything is inside of you.
Valerie's headspace and energy as a result of transcendental meditation puts her in this kind of anything can happen mode. The same kind of mode that I think many of us experience when we're traveling somewhere new. There's something about movement outside of our comfort zone that so long as we're open to it, so long as we're receptive to it, it allows in new sparks of excitement and discovery and joy.
I really, really like meeting people. I like to travel by myself. I meet tons of people, and they always seem to be the right people. You know, having deep conversations, different points of view, the energy coming from these people, I feel have shifted me in a way too that keeps happening over and over again. I've also connected traveling to freedom when I was younger. Like my whole life growing up, every year I spent in Greece all summer. So that's like 3 months out of my life living in Europe. And then once I got older, 16 and 17, um, my best friend was 4 years older than me. So we went both years for like a month at a time to the Greek islands. And like just that feeling of being like totally free, being young, meeting people from all over the world. You know, you're on the beach, you're naked, you're drinking wine, you're dancing on tables. Like it was like that Zorba the Greek thing in me that also felt like really spiritual, because that level of freedom, I knew I was never going to experience that in the outside world. I know now I can experience it within, but I didn't know that back then. I just saw traveling as a portal to excitement, expanding the way I think about the world, and meeting really, really fascinating people. And that doesn't happen like when you just stay at home.
Because we're so deep in the hospitality industry, we're so caught up in the business of running businesses, that my colleagues and I tend to sometimes bypass some of the obvious stuff sitting right in front of our nose. How does safety play a role in travel and hospitality? And how do different people experience different places in different ways?
It's so funny that you just brought that up. I was at a vacation rental conference in Palm Beach. I don't know, a couple months ago, whenever it was. And I was out to dinner with Brooke from Ventori, and then like I don't know, I think there was maybe like 7 or 8 of us total. And one of the gentlemen at the table, I can't remember his name right now. He was another vacation rental or property manager. His job prior to starting this company was that he was like the captain of yachts for like uber wealthy people. So he was like all over. And then he started putting together these really amazing like tours that would like run through Ethiopia and then like through Africa. And then I want to say he was like in Haiti or whatever. So it was really incredible as he was describing these tours and what people would do. And I said to the whole table, which was half women, half men, I said, you know, that's incredible that you're able to do that. But like as a woman, a single woman, Like I can't do that. Like I can't probably go, I don't know, somewhere that's super dangerous by myself. Like I don't think I can do that. And they were like, all the men were all well traveled at the table, and they're like, we have never thought about that. And I said, well, that's the difference between men and women. Like I would probably need a guy to come with me. Like I don't think I could go into the middle of Ethiopia by myself and just like wing it. So I think that's the advantage that men have, and it's real. I mean, I'm not going to put myself in danger, but in my mind, like I want to go all over Africa. You know my obsession with animals. So I want to go on safari. I want to experience everything. I want to go to Peru. I want to go everywhere. It's just there's a little bit of a real, like it's real like fear, like hey, if you got to pick and choose where you can go by yourself because you could really get hurt. So I don't know, that's part of my reality, and maybe I'm imagining it, but it feels pretty real to me.
This episode is brought to you by Breezeway, a property care and operations platform. Have you ever had a guest walk into an unprepared property, or had them complain about a hair in the shower or a dirty dishwasher or not enough garbage bags? These hiccups can lead to bad reviews, which tarnish your brand reputation. Without the right processes in place to manage your work at your properties, running your rental business can feel incredibly overwhelming. And if you ever feel stuck with too much manual work, Breezeway can help get you unstuck. Yes, Breezeway's property care and operations platform helps coordinate, communicate, and verify the detailed work and deliver it to your guests. You can work with your cleaning team, your maintenance team, your inspections teams, all in one dashboard. They even have a mobile app where your team can complete customized checklists and upload photos to make sure the work aligns with your standards. With Breezeway, you set your business up for success by implementing processes that help you maintain consistency and quality, so you can generate more 5-star reviews and never feel stuck again. Breezeway clients have said that Breezeway helped save their marriage, which is a pretty great guarantee. With the amount of time saved and peace of mind that nothing falls through the cracks, you should not wait any longer. Go to breezeway.io/VRMB and sign up for a Breezeway demo today. You can also stop by to visit Breezeway at any of their booths at conferences this season. Mention that you heard them on this podcast, The Unlocked Intermission, and have your implementation fee, estimated at $1,000, waived if you ultimately decide to join. That's breezeway.io/VRMB. And B&B Finder, which is the property listing marketplace built for professional property managers. B&B Finder is free for professional property managers to list on. You can then upgrade your listing to improve visibility. They believe travelers should book directly with property managers, so you own that relationship with the customer. They're held to your terms and your cancellation policy. You also make more money because B&B Finder does not charge the traveler a service fee, nor do they charge property managers a transaction fee. Their goal is to empower professional property managers and to make travel more enjoyable and less expensive for everybody. B&B Finder only works with professional property managers, so they don't work with for rent by owner situations. Now, they're offering a special for listeners of this podcast. They're offering a free upgrade for a period of 6 months if you simply mention the phrase B&B without the fees to any B&B Finder representative or booth at conference season this year. You'll get 6 months of a free upgraded offer. You can also head over to their website, bnbfinder.com/list. And as a reward, your listing will be upgraded from free to bronze or bronze to silver or silver to gold. That upgrade will be live for 6 months. So this is a pretty wonderful opportunity to try out a company whose values are in line with yours. That's bnbfinder.com/list. stepping into an unknown feels weird because it's not known. It's unfamiliar. It feels dark and confusing. It feels disorienting. It feels frustrating. It feels weird. So it's fascinating to hear from people like Valerie who have gone through transformations and to hear what, in hindsight, the actual roadmap of that process looked like. What happened and when that shaped this newer, better, different place that she arrived at.
Well, first of all, everything changes, right? So, like, you're not going to probably want to hang out with the same people doing the same thing. People quit their jobs. They move across the country. They leave their marriages. Like, you're a different person now. So, like, the same old, it's not going to work anymore for you. So, you have to get the support you need to make these major changes because, like, you're basically going to, like, just shit can your life. And that's really hard because you talk to people around you and they're like, are you crazy? Like, what do you mean you're going to quit your job? Like, what do you mean you're going to leave your marriage? You've been with that person for 20 years, but you're a different person and it's like not going to work for you anymore. So that's the rub. That's the challenge. And I always tell people, like, try and get yourself, a therapist, someone that understands about spiritual shifts like this that can kind of guide you, or find someone in the world that understands this process, because it can be very unsettling. You'll feel tortured and you'll feel not seen, and like you'll understand now your life and how things work, and you're not going to stay in a situation like that. It would be like foreign. Like, what am I doing? But I'm not saying it's easy. um I the the way I see it, like, as far as, like, dating, relationships, like, the pool gets much, much smaller after you have experiences like this, because now you're really only gonna be attracted to other people that are, like, pretty awake. You're not gonna it would be very difficult for you to have experiences like this and a new way of seeing and being, and then be in a very serious relationship with someone that has zero understanding of what you're talking about or what's going on. It would be like talking to the cat, it would not fulfill you. So the dating pool, in my experience, gets a lot smaller because you also want to be with someone that's done the work and understands who they are. It's like it's just a little bit more challenging, but I think ultimately it becomes more fulfilling.
And here's the kicker. When you decide to shift and you've entered into this great unknown, maybe it's with meditation or travel or spirituality or whatever you find works for you. When you've gone on that adventure and you've embraced that adventurer's role, a fascinating thing starts to happen. You attract the same. Which is to say, when you are open and curious and kind, people want to be around you. Good people. And that's the case with Valerie. I have seen it in person. She's immersed herself in the community of short-term rental professionals more quickly and more authentically than maybe anybody that I've observed in 10 years. It's all about the good vibes that she puts out. Those are 1000% the reason that those good vibes come her way.
Like, I think you lose out. I mean, in our industry especially, which again, I didn't know anything about, or I didn't know anyone, I can't believe like how helpful people are. Um, and I get that feedback from like a lot of people within the industry. I thought maybe it was just my personal experience, but it's not. So I don't think there's anything to fear to ask questions. And if I don't know something, like, I'm not going to pretend I know it. That's totally like, why would you do that?
But you've also sort of shortcutted a lot of the learning process by using tools that other people have already trialed out and determined that they work, building a plan of action that somebody who's been through it has already validated. Like, I think that's actually a huge oversight that a lot of people don't take advantage of when they're entering this industry.
You know, we work so hard in this industry. Like, I I feel like it might be harder than the restaurant industry, I think. I don't know. maybe because I had always done that, I can run a restaurant like with my eyes closed. This is very challenging. And to have remote workers and so many details, and you're, responsible for people's $3 million homes. It's a huge investment. Like, this is a very difficult, I would say, industry. You better love it. You better love people because you're going to work really hard. And like, I'm in it to win it. Like, I'm not working for my health. I'm working to like do something with it, grow it, make sure my employees are taken care of, that like everybody's happy. So it's my responsibility to learn as much as I can. I'm going to screw up. There's going to be things that I don't know, but like, I just feel a personal responsibility to grow in this. I see it as a challenge. And yeah, that's why I just go for it and ask questions and try and do the best that I can. And I do feel like I've gotten a lot of shortcuts because of the amazing people around me.
Valerie's expression and deeper understanding of how the world works here is probably the single biggest differentiator for new players in the short-term rental industry right now. I believe emotional intelligence and being able to feel things, it gives Valerie this ability to create environments where others can feel them too, whether it's her team, her guests, her homeowners. It's an area any home runner can enhance and strengthen to better connect and ultimately position your brand as one that actually cares and connects with people.
When I first started, again, I have like a pretty hardcore obsession with hotels. I told I told my business partner, and then as people started working for us, like, we are always going to be Ritz-Carlton. We're never going to be Days Inn. We're going to go above and beyond to, dazzle these guests. Also, like, my staff, I'm really good to everybody. I really care about how they feel, their ideas. There's like a lot of respect there. And I think a lot of this has to do with, also, I'm a very sensitive person. I'm just highly functional, but I'm highly sensitive too. And I think when you're in hospitality and you have this, like, you can really feel what's going on with your guests and your employees and even your vendors and everything. And that like heightened sensitivity, that heightened intuition helps you create better experiences for people. Cause I think you're anticipating things maybe that like others can't see. So I've used that like in every area of the business to kind of do things at another level, because that's how I would want to feel. I'm very like concerned with my comfort and, making sure I'm not going to be like overwhelmed. And so I try and incorporate all these thoughts into the actual business and the guest experience.
And are there areas of the business, like what you just described for me is like the pinnacle of hospitality?
Yeah, I mean, we use like Track, like a PMS system. We love Breezeway. We started using Ventori to get more clients. It's kind of more, automated the way we have our auto messages going out. I have a bunch of things set up, but like even my auto messages, like I will go over those and over them and like have my editor look at them. Like, I want to make sure that it's not just some like robot. I've hired extra employees to make sure there's like a personal touch in everything we do. It's like, I guess in a way, I'm running the company the same way I was running the front of the house of the restaurants. Like, there's a personal touch, because to me, that's everything. That's how you get repeat guests and how people really fall in love with your brand. It has to start there. I don't know what happens when you become really, really large, but I would hope that energy, you can keep that going through everything you do. I mean, at least that's my plan.
And what is the plan for growth?
Well, even with homeowners that come to me, like, I won't take them if they're not going to play ball. Like, we do things a certain way. I have it all charted out. I'm like, this is how we do it. This is why we're more successful than other people in our area. Like, if you want to be part of the club, this is how we roll. Take it or leave it, because I'm not going to bend. But when we're building our own homes, then I really have control over the situation. I mean, I'm just going to say it. We've had a psychic on our payroll for the past 3 years because she clears the energy in all the homes, because I know even though people can't see it, they can feel it. And so that's where I'm operating from. It's more of that unseen, unknown world that I know is very important in everything I do.
What a powerful way to end this discussion. Valerie got hit by the Big Kahuna when she lost her mom, and she responded to the blow by looking inwards with meditation. By becoming a deeper person and stepping into this unknown, Valerie tapped a seemingly unlimited reservoir of energy and creativity and positivity and confidence. In fact, we had to postpone this interview because Valerie got asked to go produce a Hollywood movie, which, of course, she did. I asked her what she expected from that job, and she shrugged. I really have no idea what to expect, but I can do anything. I took Valerie's advice and started meditating, and have since started experiencing what feels like the world's greatest magic trick. I'll share more what I mean by that later in this series, but for now, you can pick up Valerie's books, In Deep Shift, or Enlightenment is Sexy, but you can also reach out to Valerie directly. Ask her questions about this whole unpredictable process. I probably reach out to her once a month. She's like my Sherpa, leading me into the unknown.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, a new way of thinking about our growth, and are attending any vacation rental conferences coming up this season, I know our sponsors would love to meet you. So much that they've arranged a special offer for anybody who stops by their booths. Yes, if you stop by the Breezeway booth or the B&B Finder booth, or if you speak with any of those representatives this coming conference season, let them know you heard this podcast, and the special offer is yours.